Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon. We are here with returning coverage of the preliminary hearing of Larry Millete. Larry Millete? Larry Millete? I'm still confused on that. Um, we don't have a feed yet, so we're on feed watch. A welcome to the people who are coming in. Thank you for joining. Please remember to hit the like button. Um, Now, when they were dismissing for recess, when they were going out for recess, there was conversation about, are we starting again at 1:30, 1:45? I think that was more related to is that I hate it when my curtain is off is askew. Um, I think that was more about when should the particular witness who was on the stand come back, but I may have gotten that wrong. I'm still checking the feed just to make sure that it's going on. I hope you all are having had a nice break. Oh, I think we might have a feed now. Interesting. We have a feed. It's not court yet, but I'm going to share it. Hmm. Hmm. Interesting. I think this is, yeah, this is it. All right. So there it is. They're going to get started soon, it sounds like. So it was 1:30, not 1:45. They never start the feed as soon as they tell people to get back in court. Then people need to get in and get settled. This morning, we heard from two witnesses. They were both detectives. One was a continued cross-examination of a detective, Jesse Vicente, who had basically said Friday he believes that Larry is responsible for May's disappearance, and then another detective came on to talk about other evidence, the evidence that he found of the last transactions that went out from her phone. He said that the very last phone call made from her phone was on January 7th to a lawyer's office. And then apparently there was a text message to Larry's uncle saying, "Thanks, Rick." Now, I thought that was interesting. Be interesting to see what she was saying thank you to. Probably, nothing much, but Ricky is the uncle in whose house they found this missing freezer. The freezer that had originally been at the Millete residence, and then was missing. And then there was a search warrant placed on the aunt and uncle's residence, and that is where that freezer was found.
Afternoon. Council and the defendant are
So,
present. We have now put Detective Ruiz back on the stand.
okay, we're back with Detective Reese, who's coming back
Okay, you may
after.
continue with your cross.
Thank you, Ann.
Let's listen.
Good afternoon, Detective.
Good afternoon.
You testified last week that you looked at credit cards that you found in the Millete residence, correct?
Correct.
Amongst the credit cards that you examined, were you able to determine which credit cards belong only to Miss Millete?
So just based on the name that was on the credit card, I didn't contact the actual bank, but the credit cards that were located in May's bag had her name on them.
Based on just her name on the credit card, how many credit cards did you discover?
I can go to my report, but I believe there's about 6. So it looks like a total of 6.
During the period of time of 2020, were you able to determine if Miss Millete paid those accounts on her separate bank accounts?
Objection, like a foundation.
Do you have personal knowledge regarding this question?
I do not.
Sustain.
Did you also have the opportunity to call other transportation companies like Lyft or taxis to verify if anyone had picked up Miss Millete on January 7, 2021 from her home?
No, I only contacted Uber.
You did call the Navy Federal Credit Union, I believe, on January 13, 2021, inquiring about the credit card. I'm sorry, January 12, I believe, 2021, to inquire if any of Miss Millete's credit cards had been used after she was reported missing.
Correct.
Were you able to obtain the last entry on the credit cards?
So as of the 12th, so it would have been January the 12th, 2021, there was an automatic payment that posted specifically to SeaWorld.
Were you able to see the balance on the credit card?
No.
I believe you assisted Detective McIver in reviewing the security footage
Correct.
from 2417 Paseo Los Gatos in Chula Vista, right?
Correct.
And on January the 8th, 2021, a dark colored sedan parked across the street from the Milete's residence. Are you able to see any individual inside? Did you see that when the sedan was approaching the area where it's parked, did you see when it turned off the lights? Is it a few minutes or?
I believe it was soon after it parked.
So when it was approaching the area where it intended to park, were the lights on the sedan?
Correct. The vehicle was driving, headlights were on. When it parked, headlights came off.
And then it turned, the lights just went off.
Correct.
And you couldn't tell whether the driver is a female or male.
No, it was too dark.
You also couldn't tell whether there were passengers inside that vehicle.
Correct.
Can you describe the lighting in that area?
It's pretty dark.
Okay. Then on January 7, 2021, a dark colored SUV was seen parked at the same location as this sedan. Did you observe that these are two different vehicles that parked there or the same?
No, they appeared different. One was a SUV and one was a sedan.
So the sedan is a different vehicle than the SUV?
That's correct.
Okay. And there is no way that you could determine the coloration because it was too dark to make that determination?
I can tell you it was a dark colored car, but I could not tell you if it was, red or dark blue or anything like that.
Did the SUV approach the area similarly from the sedan?
I don't recall.
Since the area was very dark, is it fair to say that the entrance to the Millete residence was also dark?
I believe there was like a light above the garage or on the porch that was in fact on. You can definitely see silhouettes of individuals walking back and forth.
Did you observe anyone, strike that. During the review of the footage, did you notice on review whether there were any individuals close to that area where the vehicle parked?
So across the street,
Right.
no, I did not see anybody near that vehicle.
Were you able to determine how long the sedan stayed in that area where it parked?
I don't remember the length of time, but it wasn't quick. I believe it was at least maybe half an hour to 45 minutes. But it wasn't one of these things where it just parked for a minute or two and then left.
How about the SUV? How long was it parked in the area?
I couldn't tell you the SUV without going back to my my notes.
Did you want to refer to your notes?
I definitely can if you can assist me with locating what specifically you're referring to.
It's on page 3 of the officer report.
Okay. So at the very top right-hand corner, we have report numbers. Do you mind telling me what report number that is?
And the report number is 32969.
Okay. I have that one in front of me, and then the page number.
The page number is 3.
Not sure where she's going with this. She's trying to imply that there was some other different car, and she's lobbed all these allegations that there may have been sex trafficking or human trafficking involved. trying to allege maybe that there's some strange car out there that was out there to, I don't know.
Okay.
He's ready.
Can you, did that refresh your recollection?
It does vaguely.
Lane.
I did go through quite a bit of footage.
So you're able to determine how long the SUV was parked in the area?
So it looks like it arrived at 17:11 hours. And then it left at 18:18 hours, so just over an hour.
Was there anything strange or unusual
Distraction.
while it was parked there for over an hour?
No,
You didn't hear any dogs barking or anyone coming out of the residences around the area?
no, nothing unusual, nothing that stood out.
You actually assisted in the impounding Larry's Lexus, is that right?
Correct.
And do you know if you brought in canines to sniff for human remains in the Lexus?
I did.
You did?
I did.
You did. So can you tell us what happened there when the canines
Yeah,
were
so
brought in?
So that would have been the first day of the search warrant. So the search warrant that was executed back in January. The vehicle, the Lexus. So in January the
23.
23rd, correct. The Lexus GX 460, I believe we're referring to, this is the exact model, was there at the Millete residence. Mr. Millete requested that we move the vehicle to a nearby park just to get the vehicle out of the neighbor's kind of sight, just to lessen the impact on the neighborhood, which we in fact did. I had members of the San Diego Sheriff's Department search and rescue team actually standing by that location with their cadaver dogs. And I opened up the doors and allowed the cadaver dogs to sniff inside the interior of the vehicle, specifically towards the rear.
And did the dogs show signs of detecting human remains?
They did not alert to any human remains.
What about the residence itself? Did the canine dogs also enter the residence?
I don't recall. I would have to refer to my notes. I know specifically the vehicle, but I don't believe I would have partook in that portion of it because I was with the Lexus and taking the vehicle back to our police department. So I couldn't tell you what the outcome, if any, with the cadaver dogs.
Now, you know that the Milletes own 4 vehicles, is that right?
Correct.
And there was another vehicle, a 5th vehicle that's parked in their, associated with the house, the Millete house, that belonged to Mr. Millete's father. You recall that?
I do.
So a
Which is
total of,
vague as to time.
It's
that's
the same. You can rephrase.
at the time that you were at the residence on January 23rd, 2021, did you search all of the Millete's residents? All of the Millete's vehicles?
Me personally, no.
So you only looked at the Lexus?
I looked at the Lexus and I remember looking at the Toyota Tundra that was parked in the garage.
Okay. And when you looked at the Lexus on January 23, 2021, did you notice anything unusual or abnormal?
No.
I believe you took the Lexus somewhere on that day.
Correct. It was impounded at the Chula Vista Police Department.
Did you have any passengers when you took it to the Chula Vista Police Department area
Passengers in my vehicle?
in the Lexus?
No, the vehicle would have been closed up, secured, and then placed on the tow truck without anybody inside.
Okay. And how did the Lexus appear to you on January 23, 2021?
That's vague. Rephrase.
Were you able to examine the exterior and the interior of the Lexus when you took it, or when you took it on January 23, 2021?
I did not do an in-depth examination. That would have been done at a later date at the Chula Vista Police Department.
Did you see inside the Lexus a car seat?
I don't recall a car seat.
You actually did not drive the Lexus to the Chula Vista Police Department, but wasn't it towed?
Counsel asked and answered. He indicated that the vehicle was towed.
It is towed, okay. Did you at a later date prepare an impound report for full details?
I couldn't tell you if I did, if it would have been the scene agent that was responsible for that, Detective MacGyver. But it's possible that I did. I don't recall.
After you impounded the Lexus, you actually went back to the Millete residence, right?
Asked and answered.
Okay. Then, what did you do? Strike that. Did you have an opportunity to search the house when you returned from the Chula Vista Police Department?
Objection misstates the testimony.
Okay, and I think he may have talked about this testimony.
He's all over the place again.
Okay, so your objection is she's misstating Melissa's
I'll
testimony.
withdraw that.
Do you have any objection? All right. You can respond.
I did assist with searching the residence.
How long did you assist in the search?
Counsel, that sounds like a question for discovery purposes. If you've got a specific question of this witness, then please do that. Ask that.
Fishing expedition.
Did you see any security cameras in the residence when you were there on January 23, 2021?
Not inside the residence, but on the exterior, yes, there was multiple.
Can you describe the security cameras outside the residence?
Just your standard security camera. I don't remember the color, but they were mounted on various sides of the house.
Did the cameras retain any footage?
I don't believe so.
And can you be more precise for me so I understand what you mean by that?
I did not view the actual DVR. I believe there was some type of DVR that was located in the garage. I do not recall if those were actually connected to the security cameras. The initial day that we contacted Larry, the first day that we actually spoke with him, he had indicated that those cameras had been disconnected for quite some time, well over a year or two.
did you seize Mr. Millete's cell phone on January 23, 2021?
I don't believe I specifically seized it, but I believe it in fact was, but I didn't take it.
Were you the officer that downloaded the information on Mr. Millete's computer?
No.
Objection vague as to which computer.
Answer is no. Over.
Part of your report states that the text messages belonging to Larry's cell phone and uploaded onto the MacBook was seized. Were you able to review any of the text messages from Mr. Larry Millete's cell phone?
Yes.
On February 28, 2020 to March 4, 2020, Mr. Millete had a text message conversation with Jamie. Recall that?
I believe I do.
Right, counsel,
Objection hearsay at this point.
yes, it does appear to be hearsay, and it's beyond the scope of direct.
Come on, Bolane. Next question. Next question. Hello, hello, hello. Is there anybody in there? If not, if you can hear me. Is there anyone home? Relax. I need some information first. Just the basic facts. Can you tell me where?
Did you speak to Mr. Millete at all on January 23, 2021?
I may have, it may have been just a very short conversation, but not an interview or anything like that, no.
Hey Betty, I sing for therapy. Do you know about my singing channel?
Did Mr. Millete tell you at that time, January 23, 2021, that Maya's mail went to JR's address?
Objection relevance.
Violet, that documentary
Yeah, it reveals that, it
killed.
will reveal that
Absolutely
Ms.
killed.
Millete's mail was not going to Paseo Los Gatos when she moved out of the house in May of 2020, and that it's possible that she does have some bills charged, and the officer may not have access to that.
You can answer the question. The question was, did Mr. Millete tell you that, did Mr. Millete tell you at that time, January 23rd, 2021, that Maya's mail went to JR's address?
I don't recall that now.
You also
It was whole.
made note of a single loud bang, possibly gunshot, could be heard on January 7, 2021 at 20:44 hours.
Objection
The-
vague as to where it was heard. What camera?
Okay, you can rephrase the question,
Okay.
and I want to make sure that this witness has personal knowledge.
Detective, part of your report states that on January 7, 2021 at 20:44 hours and 51 seconds, a single loud bang, possibly gunshot, could be heard, but unknown where it came from. Do you recall that?
I do, but I don't remember it being single. I believe multiple loud bangs, possibly a gunshot.
Did someone tell you this, or is this just what you?
She brought it up
learned from
earlier,
your
Amelia.
team's investigation?
This is what
Obviously
I.
Someone told you. Did a witness tell you?
No, witness did not tell me. This was through security camera footage review.
That you personally observed?
Correct.
Did you see any bullet casings in the vicinity of Mr. Millete's residence?
Spent casings? No.
Yeah, they brought up the gun noises earlier, and Detective Vicente said that they sent the audio to
While you were at the
FBI
Millete
and they weren't
residence
able
on
to
January 23, 2021, did you inspect any of the other vehicles that was associated with the residence?
Objection asked and answered.
Is that correct, counsel? Have you
I
already
don't-
covered this?
I think I was trying to have the witness identify the vehicles, and there was an objection. And I believe it was sustained, Your Honor.
Did we talk about that on Friday? Or something?
No, I mean,
Well, there's 5 vehicles. We're gonna go through each vehicle. We've
Yes.
already covered the Lexus.
The Lexus, I just wanted the witness to,
I thought he already testified that he didn't search any of the vehicles. So
Was
that was
that
my
yes?
objection.
No, my testimony was I, in fact, assisted with the Toyota Tundra that was located in the garage.
And only that.
And only that vehicle, correct.
did you use any canine dogs?
No.
Did you see anything unusual in the Tundra?
No.
Where do I go next? Where Bolane is looking for her next
During
row.
your search on January 23, 2021, did you obtain documents related to Maya Millete's life insurance policies?
No, I don't recall that.
And I suppose that's assuming facts, not in evidence. Do I have any evidence that we're?
Life insurance policy, huh?
Ms. Bowles?
I mean, wouldn't that go against Larry?
You do not have that evidence at this point, no. No witness has testified that thus far. That I can recall.
Are you going to?
But if I recall correctly,
I mean, not
Barry Morphew
not
moved.
requesting, but asking, is that something that you were going to ask another witness?
Not at this hearing, not at this probable cause hearing. And a warrant was obtained for some records, but not by this witness.
Okay, your objection is, my objection for lack of foundation sustained as to that question. Answers.
Did you have an opportunity on January 23, 2021 to look at the fireplace situated in the backyard?
No,
How about the fireplace situated inside the house?
Is this January 23rd?
Yes.
no.
Come on, Bo Lane. If anybody's new to this channel, hasn't watched the coverage before here, the defense attorney who is currently questioning this witness, her name is Bonita Martinez, but we call her Bo Lane.
On the
Could
same
you
date of
tell us
January
why
23,
she's
2021,
From
did
the
you
deputy trial.
observe inside Mr. and Mrs. Millete's house if they had a line of telephone that was landline?
Not that I recall.
After you concluded your examination of the Millete residence on January 23, 2021, did you return again to do the same examination?
Objection vague.
How so?
Examination of what?
Time.
Or what examination?
Sustained.
After January 23, 2021, when was the next date that you returned to the residence?
Frankly, did you, has he testified about returning to the residence?
Yes, he testified about serving 2 search warrants at the house, one on January 23rd, 2021, and one on October 19th, 2021.
All right. So, are you going to ask something about the October 2021 search?
I wanted to explore his findings when he returned, I believe the second time.
And I believe, Your Honor, Detective Ruiz, I believe, was at the residence probably multiple times between January 23rd and October 19th, 2021. But I'd object to those questions being beyond the scope. My questions of Detective Ruiz were focused on.
She's only supposed-
January 23rd search
Defense
warrant.
counsel's only supposed to be asking him questions that were brought up in the direct. And
If you have a
defense keeps going
specific
outside of the scope.
question for him about the October search, you may ask, but I'm not going to let you just ask a
Yeah.
number of general questions regarding
No, Your Honor.
what he saw and what he did on that day, because that is not the purpose of a preliminary hearing. You're using it for discovery purposes, and it needs to be employed simply to cross-examine him on areas of inquiry that the prosecution has raised during their direct examination. I'm not gonna spend another hour with you asking this witness every question under the sun about what he did on a certain day.
I don't intend to do
So,
that, Your
get
Honor.
started.
I would like to explore a question about the safe deposit, the safe, and see if he was present when they removed the firearms out of the safe.
Okay,
Detective, when you returned to the Millete residence in October 2020, did you observe and seize firearms from the safe?
So we went in 2021.
Yes, excuse me, 2021, yes.
So we did in fact seize firearms, but I'm gonna have to refer to my report in regards to what specifically.
well, did you, I just want, again, questions that relate to your personal knowledge and your role, not what the whole team did. She's had other witnesses from that search testify. So, counsel, again, there's a team of people, and I don't want you asking every person on the team what the team did. The question should be focused on this witness's
Please get
role
closer to the
and
mic,
information
Judge.
that this witness has personal knowledge of.
Por favor.
And I would also object to a vast inquiry into all the various firearms seized. There's one firearm that's charged and testimony about one firearm that's been introduced. So I would object to anything beyond that inquiry about that one particular firearm. For this purposes.
All right, and I was saying that a bunch of questions about the other firearms is beyond the scope. Count 2 does have him charged with being in possession of an illegal assault weapon. So you can ask questions about that weapon, but any others that were present, it appears to be outside the scope.
During the time that you were
We are
in
here,
the
we are present.
Millete residence in October 2020, did you remove a firearm in the Millete residence that was not in compliance with the California firearms?
So that firearm was actually removed in the first search warrant, so the January search warrant, not the October search warrant.
Were you part of that removal?
I was.
When you removed that firearm, did you ask Mr. Millete who owned that firearm?
No.
So I have your
Redirect.
Once the Lexus was impounded on January 23rd, 2021 at the Chula Vista Police Department, did it remain there and has it remained there since that date?
Correct.
Hasn't been driven at all?
No.
Thank you. Another question.
I was just gonna say, please go to the mic, counsel.
no question.
May the witness be excused.
Yes.
Yes, John.
Thank you, sir. That concludes your testimony.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Next witness.
People recall District Attorney Investigator Matthew.
Okay, we got another investigator coming from the DA's office. I mean, the defense counsel's strategy seems to be create all kinds of doubt and confusion in the ears and the minds of anybody listening, right? It's painful to sit through a little bit, but at least we can do it together. And it's very interesting to be sitting here watching defense counsel get her trial education from a judge while she's probably doing the most important trial she's ever done, if she ever has done a trial. Okay, so this is the detective that was on the stand earlier.
Good afternoon, Mr. Grinley. You are still under oath, and counsel, you may continue with your direct examination.
Thank you, Your Honor. When we left off, we were talking about the SMS messages that you obtained when you received the search warrant return for T-Mobile records for, I believe it was 4 different phone numbers. Is that correct?
That's correct.
I'm going to just focus your attention to the SMS messages that you recovered to and from Larry Millete's phone. What was the date range, if you recall, of the text messages, the SMS
Multitasking,
messages that you
Violet.
received in that T-Mobile search warrant return?
It's approximately 90 days. Wasn't too much material, but it covered the period of the disappearance.
I don't know if the exhibit is still turned to Exhibit 30.
It is.
Okay, so looking at 30-2, and I'll project it up on the screen in a moment, but can you just sort of orientate us before I put the exhibit up, kind of how you went about documenting or inserting these messages into a format again that was kind of more easily readable?
Sure. So this is the original file is what I'm working with, and I was able to filter or convert the information to where it was readable as far as the content of the text message, the timestamp of when the text message was sent or received, and the people or the persons that were in communication with each other.
So looking at 30-2, what are the columns that we look at, and what are the messages that were to who and from who will we be seeing messages in 30-2?
Sure. So starting from the left side of the column to the right side of the column, we have time in parentheses PST, which means Pacific Standard Time. So that is for the time zone and the date and time within California that we observe. Going across, we have from, so who the text message is from. To is who the text message is to. And the body of SMS message is the information or the actual text message and content that was sent on that timestamp.
And have you looked at exhibits 30-1 through 30-12?
I have.
And are those fair and accurate representations of the text messages that you received as part of the search warrant return?
Yes, they are.
And did you in fact create the text that is within those exhibits?
Yes, I did.
Looking at (30-2), which is up there on the screen, it looks like we see some text messages that begin at 10:21 in the morning. Then the last one is 7:22 p.m. Who are those messages to and from?
This is communications between Terry Fonville and Larry Millete.
Who's Terry Fonville?
Terry Fonville is Larry Millete's work supervisor.
Did you speak with Terry Fonville at some point during the investigation?
Yes, I did.
And we'll go into more depth about that later, but just generally, can you tell us a little bit about how the relationship between Terry Fonville and Larry Millete, how long they've known each other?
They've known each other, according to Mr. Fonville, approximately 19 years in a work capacity environment that they would communicate. But according to Mr. Fonville, regarded Larry as a friend.
And these were messages exchanged on January 3rd.
That is correct.
Looking at 30-3 are these SMS text messages to and from Larry Millette's phone on January the 4th.
Yes.
Okay. And again, these are to and from or between the defendant Larry Millete and Terry Fonville.
Correct.
Looking at 30-4 are these, and again, the exhibit up on the screen, is that the exhibit, copy of the exhibit that's in the binder?
Yes, it is.
And are these fair and accurate representations of the SMS text messages between Larry Millete and Terry Fonville, at least the first two, on January the 5th?
Yes.
Okay. And just looking at the first two lines, where it says body of SMS message, can you tell us kind of when you're looking at those messages, what's the context of those messages?
Well, the context of the message is about Larry and his marriage. It's talking about really it's a negative side of the marriage that he's confiding to Terry in.
So Larry Millete to Terry says she's asking for a divorce again. And then says, after I bring home dinner, that would be the text of those messages at 8:31 a.m.
Correct.
Okay. And then there's a message from Larry Millete to Kathy Fredericks. Who is Kathy Fredericks?
Kathy Fredericks is Larry Millette's aunt.
And the text of that message was, "Can I bring Lazarus over today?"
Yes.
And then we see a couple of other text messages. Those are also fair and accurate representations of the SMS messages obtained from that search warrant on January 5th.
That's correct.
Looking at 30-5, are these fair and accurate representation of text messages between, again, to and from Larry Millette's phone on January the 5th?
That's correct. Yes.
And just starting at the top, there appears to be one at 11 a.m. from Larry Millete to Terry Fonville. Can you read that one for us?
Yes. You need serious help how you view things. Please do not make me feel guilty about shit, about what you feel and all that, because you will always do what you want. We are completely done.
And there look to be two asterisks there at the end of that.
That's a weird
body of that
message.
Were those in the text message themselves?
They were not.
And what are those representative?
There was myself as reviewing that information was an author's note, which appeared to be copied from an original iMessage or some additional source believed to be coming from May that was then copied and sent to Terry from Larry.
And then 12:19, there appears to be a message to Kathy Fredericks to Larry. And what is the text of that message?
So it says, go to work, do the IA, don't let her do anything, and you don't do anything because you'll lose everything. Fight for the kids and yourself.
And then there's another message then, 12:19, Kathy Fredericks to Larry Millete. She's selfish, that's proven after all her and all the things you did after she screwed up, so he prepared. Did you write the word sick in there, or was that from the SMS?
I did just to represent some punctuation error.
And then, looks like 12:34 p.m., Terry Fonville to Larry Millete. What is your ETA? Waiting for you so I can close this out. DMLSS. That's the fair and accurate text of the message that you retrieved in the search warrant for that date and time.
Yes.
And then, looks like Kathy to Larry Millete, don't forget to leave the car seat. And then at 1:55 p.m., Larry Millete to his boss, parked.
Correct.
What does DMLSS mean? What do you think it means?
Your Honor, I'm not too sure what it means. I believe it's something to do with his employment. That's as far as I know.
On January 6th, we have additional text messages to and from Larry Millette's phone.
Yes, we do.
And if you just start at the top,
It'll be getting
9:52
interesting as we get
a.m.
closer
from Mary
to the
Millette to
7th.
Terry Fonville. What is the text of that message?
Oh, council, identify the exhibit.
Oh, I apologize, Your Honor. 30-6 is up on the screen, and is that an accurate representation of exhibit 30-6 in the binder?
Yes, it is.
And looking at that message at 9:52 a.m. from Larry Millette to Terry Fonville, and kind of following the series down through 10:33 a.m. Could you just read those messages?
Yes. First message is, I don't want to be your wife anymore. I'm filing whether you like it or not. I should have left a long time ago, and this time I'm not going to look back and say that again. Got it? What's your ETA? We really need you to complete this. I was downstairs speaking with Charlene. She said your card was not locked, and she didn't see a chair, I believe it is.
And then looks like there's asterisks again for those top 3 text messages, SMS messages. Again, what is the representation of those asterisks?
Again, it appears to be copied from a previous text message between Larry and May.
And then at 1:23 p.m., there's a message from Larry Millette to Terry Fonville, and proceeding down a continued exchange between the two of them through 1:28 p.m. Can you just go ahead and read those for us?
Yes. Not coming in today. It's been an exhausting day full of getting yelled at and followed throughout the house drama. Like a floor mat, I took it all in. I just can't fathom what's going on. This is surreal, like life is hopeless. Next message. I'll try and come in early tomorrow. Today, I'm just mentally, physically, and emotionally spent.
And then at 1:26 p.m., this is a SMS text message from Terry Fonville to Larry Millette.
Yes, this is in response, which says, Doc is asking about your account. I told him you were going to speak with Charlene and Leon today. Quarles is getting slack from the DHA regarding the delinquent. Next message.
Weird.
Can you at least go and talk to Charlene and Leon? I still need to submit Kevin's rejected ATAPs from 2 weeks ago. And then the final message is, Doc just informed me that it is still pending.
And those are from January 6th, 2021.
That's correct.
And then are there some messages on January 7th, 2021 between Terry Fonville and Larry Millette?
Yes, there is.
Okay. And what is
Boy,
what
here
do
we
the
go.
messages start with? And at what time?
January 7th, 2021 at 7:21 a.m., Terry sends a text message to Larry, which says, good morning, Larry. What is your ETA?
And at 12:24 p.m., what does Larry Millette text back to Terry Fonville?
12:24, Larry responds with, I'm not right.
And then how does Terry Fonville respond in his next text message?
12:28, Terry responds with, have you eaten?
And then looking up at the screen, 30-7, is this the exhibit that is in the binder in front of you?
That's correct.
And what does the defendant text at 12:34 p.m. on January 7th, 2021?
Larry Millette texts Terry Fonville, I'm about to lose it.
And then go ahead and read the next couple of messages.
12:36 p.m., Terry replies to Larry, call me. And then at 1:53, Terry again reaches out to Larry asking, where are you?
Are there any messages? Well, are there any messages between them for the remainder of the day?
No.
So on the 7th, he says, I'm
Looking
about
at
to
30-8
leave it.
in front of you in the binder. Can you tell us a little bit about what this exhibit is before I project it up on the screen?
Sure. So this is from a forensic tool that was used to extract the contents of Larry Millette's iPhone January 13th 2021. The image portrays a screenshot that was obtained through the extraction of an application reflecting the balance of a cryptocurrency account.
And I'm not going to project this up on the screen because it does have telephone numbers on it for Millete and Laura May Millete. But can you tell us essentially what is this?
So there's an application called Coinbase, which is a cryptocurrency application. So this is what is reflected. It's showing a screenshot of the account balance and additional information that the application provides. So this was a screenshot. So actually physically taking a screenshot on or captured on the phone, and it was sent to Millete and Laura May on January 7th at 9:21 p.m.
Sent by who?
Sent by Larry Millete, or at least the cell phone that he was in possession of.
And that was sent at January 7th, 2021 at 9:21 p.m.
That's correct.
And essentially it's a screenshot of balance for a Bitcoin portfolio.
Yes, the specific application will be Coinbase, but yes, it is a firm of Bitcoin.
And what's your understanding of well, strike that out. I think we'll have testimony about that at a later time. Were there any messages to or from, SMS messages to or from Larry Millete's phone on January the 8th?
Not until approximately 8 o'clock in the evening, and it was a automated message from a clothing company.
Was that unusual in terms of the activity that you saw in the search warrant return SMS messages on to or from Larry Millete's phone?
Yes,
How so?
just the lack of or the omittance of any text message or any communication, anything on network. There was virtually nothing.
Now, did you have an opportunity to review you've already mentioned that you did, the cell phone download, consensual cell phone download provided by Larry Millete January 13th, 2021?
Yes, I have.
And did you look at the cell phone activity for January 8th, 2021?
I did.
Can you tell us what Exhibit 30-10 is?
30-10 is reflective of the forensic tool that was used to extract the data, and it's showing essentially in a chronological fashion the events that were occurring on January 8th, beginning at 7:17 p.m. I'm sorry, from 11:52 a.m. through 7:17 p.m.
And can you tell us a little bit about the activity on Larry Millete's cell phone download for January the 8th, 2021?
Very limited activity. There was no outgoing phone calls. There was no outgoing text messages. There were incoming text messages that were reported on the extraction, but there was nothing additional from there.
So some phone calls coming in, and in fact, on the phone download, was there a text message on January 8th, 2021 at 11:52 a.m. from Leo Millete Papa?
Yes,
And who do you know that to be?
as Benito Millete, who is Larry's dad.
And I'm just going to project up on the screen that particular text. Do you recognize what's up on the screen to be the text message from that exhibit that's in front of you?
Yes, I do.
And that would be at 30-10, is that correct?
That's correct.
And what does this text message, this would be a message sent from or to Leo Millete?
This is from Leo to Larry.
And if you could read that for us.
Sure. Larry, please turn on your phone because Terry, your boss, is calling you regarding your job. Take care, and Lazarus, and there's some emojis next to it.
And again, I'm not going to project.
So he
that full
knew
exhibit because there are
Larry
some
was out with the
personal numbers
Lazarus
on that exhibit.
and not the
But
other
can
girl.
you identify or tell us some of the people who attempted to call throughout the day, Larry Millete's phone?
Yes, there was family members of May, JP Tabalanza was one of them. There was also, we believe, coworkers that were trying to reach out. We had other family members that were just trying to get in contact with Larry.
And what was the significance to you in terms of this evidence?
What I found is that the phone had been turned off around 6:34 in the morning and wasn't turned back on until 6:35 at night. So that dark time, or that dark window, that 12-hour period or so, people are reaching out to him, and that's not common based on the habits and patterns of the phone's entirety. And then all of a sudden having this phone not receiving communication was interesting.
And then looking at Exhibit 30-11, these are SMS messages to and from Larry Millete's phone from January the 9th.
Correct.
And what's the first text message on January the 9th at 7:14 a.m.?
Terry Fonville is sending a text message to Larry asking, "How are you doing, my friend?"
And 30-11, which is up on the screen, is this the same exhibit that's in front of you?
That's, yes, it is.
And then you can see another message at 10:56, Kathy Fredericks to Larry Millete asking to call her later. And then another text message from Kathy Fredericks to Larry Millete. And then a message at 4:51 p.m. from JP Tabalanza to Larry Millete. Did she come back home?
That's correct.
And is this the messages from January 9th in their entirety?
Yes.
Now, just to be clear, we're talking about SMS messages. So is it possible that there may have been any iMessages being exchanged during these periods of time?
I believe so, but T-Mobile was only able to report the SMS messages. So iMessages, typically data sessions that between iPhones, we did not see any of that information.
And that, in other words, the T-Mobile search warrant download wouldn't capture the iMessages.
Correct.
Would the cell phone download itself capture the iPhone messages?
Yes.
And were there any iPhone messages from Larry Millette's phone during that period of time that you described? I think it was somewhere around 6:30 in the morning until 6:30 in the evening.
Correct. There was nothing in between those two times.
And then 30-12, you can tell us what this exhibit is.
So this is reflective of January 10th, 2021. And this is a text message that were captured by T-Mobile showing the content of messages between Larry Millete and Terry Fonville and some additional people in this particular exhibit.
And at 12:12 a.m., projecting this up on the screen, is this 30-12 up on the screen the same exhibit you have in front of you?
Yes, it is.
Okay. And that just the first message, 12:12 a.m. from Larry Millete to Terry Fonville. What is the text of that?
At that time, it says, "Not too good. Maya is missing."
And this is so just after midnight, essentially January 10th.
That's correct.
Okay. And then if you could read just the succession of messages to and from Terry Fonville after that.
Yeah, so at approximately 9 seconds later, Larry sends an additional text message. The cops are on my way to my house, is what it says. 12:12, I'll talk to you about it over the phone. Then there's a automated or short code message from T-Mobile. And there's another one from a different short code message. And this is at 5:54 p.m. on January 10th. And then it moves on from there.
And is there any, can you decipher anything about those, what did you call it, short code message?
Yeah, short code message is kind of like a automated billing message you would receive on your cell phone, or any upgrades that are done to your account, or really anything that's done by automatic display that's sent from the provider to a cell phone.
And again, 30-1 through 30-12 are fair and accurate representations of the either information that you obtained through the cell phone download itself, examination of the cell phone downloads, or the SMS messages recovered through the search warrant
Correct.
that you obtained. Did you write several search warrants over the course of this investigation?
Yes, I did.
Did you write, well, at some point in your investigation, did you learn that May had a Facebook account,
Yes,
one that was commonly used for her to communicate with family, friends?
correct.
And then did you learn that she had an Instagram account that she used to communicate with family and friends?
Yes,
Did you learn that she had another Instagram account? So essentially a second Instagram account.
yes,
Did you obtain a search warrant for that account?
I did.
And did you review that search warrant return?
Yes.
When was that account created?
February 22nd of 2020.
Can you tell us a little bit about that account and how it may have been, well, did you, in the course of your investigation, have an opportunity to review the, I'm going to call them Facebook account 1 and Instagram account 1? Did you review those at least to some degree during your investigation?
Yes, I did.
And did you see any differences in, let's say, the Instagram account number 1 and this particular second Instagram account that you obtained a warrant?
I noticed several differences in the two accounts.
Can you tell us about that?
Hey, Les.
Yes, let's call it Facebook one is mainly friends that she was communicating with, talking about her children, trips, other events that was going on in her life at the time. Same with the initial Instagram account. The search warrant that I wrote for on the, let's call it Instagram 2, was more of, I would say, a place that May could vent. And I could see a lot of intimate information about what was really going on in her life, separate from her, let's say, Facebook 1 account. She was communicating kind of like a diary for herself as a way to vent. Again, and she was also communicating with someone quite frequently during that time, or during the period of the records that I requested.
And I think you said the account was created February 22nd, 2020.
That's correct.
What was the last login for that account?
The last login activity was January 7th at around 11:15 in the morning.
And what was that action, if you recall?
Changing the profile.
And then you mentioned, so let's actually talk a little bit. Can you turn to Exhibit 16 in that binder?
Sure.
I was asking people if are going to follow that route. I don't know much about the case, so I'll probably just watch the file rather.
All right, I have it.
Can you tell us what we're looking at? And if this exhibit has 2 pages side by side, I'll go ahead and project them up on the screen. And ask you, first of all, 16-1 up on the screen, the same exhibit that you see in front of you?
Yes, it is.
Okay. And just kind of if you can explain to us a little bit about what we're looking at in these records.
Yes, this is known as the index page. And what that refers to is when you request a search warrant or you serve a search warrant on Facebook at the time, which also controls Instagram, is that this will be one of the first pages you would see on the search warrant return. This information you're looking at, it includes the platform or the service of the account. It identifies the target or the name on the account if there is one. And then it goes into when the account was created It goes into additional email addresses that were listed on the account, phone numbers, activity as far as what they call internet protocol logins or sessions. Also, last time the account was used, and any changes to the account as far as profile name or anything of that matter.
And this account says Instagram.com/Sailor Moon. What is that in reference to? Do you know?
Sailor Moon is the name of the profile on the account.
And so we see kind of at the bottom several, I guess, name changes, old name, new name. What does that refer to?
It means that the user changed the name of the profile many times through the course of when their account information was requested.
And then it looks like there's an email account associated with it as well.
Yes.
And so this is sort of the first couple of pages in the account
Correct.
or in the search warrant return.
Yep.
And when you reviewed this account, how did you determine that it was being utilized by Millete?
Well, I found pictures of May, communications between her and the additional user, and also entries that she had created about Larry Millete.
And was this a public profile?
No, it was private.
What do you mean by that?
Private means that the user would have to add you as a friend or as a contact in order to be able to view their profile.
So in other words, can you walk us through a little bit, if something was posted on this, and I'm going to call it Sailor Moon account, just to keep it separate from the other Instagram accounts, on this Sailor Moon account, if the user posted something, who would see it?
Well, depending on the account settings, if it's a private account, which this is what this was, is that only people that May had tagged or added as friends would be able to view what she was posting.
And did she have anyone tagged as a friend on this account?
She had a couple of people, but it was not in comparison to her main Instagram and main Facebook. This was very diminished compared to that.
And was it, were those friends continually, did they have access to her profile?
Yes, they did, but they weren't in contact with her. There was no communication between anyone else but one user.
And who is that user?
We identified him as Jamie Laird.
And did you have an opportunity at some point in the investigation to speak with Jamie Laird?
I did. I spoke with Jamie Laird on May 19th of 2021.
And when you spoke with him, did he review some messages on this Sailor Moon Instagram account?
Yes.
And did he identify himself as being a person who was communicating with May, utilizing that account?
Yes, he did.
Did he confirm for you that he had a romantic relationship with May Millete?
He confirmed it, yes.
And I
Oh,
want to talk to you specifically in Courts Exhibit 16.
confirmed
I wanna
romantic
direct you to
relationship.
16-9 through 16-13. And in those exhibits, we see kind of different lines, green and orange, various columns. Can you tell us a little bit about what we see in these exhibits?
Yes. So with this document going from left side of the column to the right side of the column, we have the timestamp, which is in Pacific Standard Time or in Pacific Time Zone, depending on the time of the year. It shows the action, as in was it an incoming message or an outgoing message, the correspondent, as in who is sending or receiving the message, and then the actual message content or the body of the message itself.
Now, these exhibits, 16-9 through 16-13, they begin on January 6, 2021. They're labeled Messages Between May Millete and Jamie Laird. Are these accurate representations of the messages between May Millete and Jamie Laird on these dates and times obtained from the search warrant from the Sailor Moon Instagram account?
Yes.
Now, do they come when you get this search warrant return from Instagram? Do they look like this in the search warrant return?
They do not.
Can you
Well, like I've been saying all along,
Are
an
these in
affair
a
does
format
not
that is slightly more
mean that she
kind of
ran off with that
user-friendly,
person, especially if they're
to
still
keep rhythm
around.
and continuity?
Yes, it's a matter of really just retraining experience to understand the different lines, as in the topic, who's the author, who is the receiver, the date and time, which again is in universal time coordinated, which is the standard. We would then adjust that to local time, and then we would be able to filter it out to put it in these columns so that we can put it in a chronological timeline.
And the exhibits in front of you.
We question
16,
Lester, at least the
are
trial.
from January 6th through January 7th, 2021. There's a couple of sections where not all the messages are included, but is the substance of all of these exhibits accurate reflections of the messages on the original search warrant return?
Yes.
In your review of the messages between May Millete and Jamie Laird, particularly the week of January the 4th, were there some communication that stood out to you?
Yes, there was a lot.
And to be clear, they communicated.
Oh boy.
Describe for us kind of how often they communicated leading up until that week of January 2021.
Sure. I first noted on September 19th of 2020 up until January 7th of 2021 is that May had communicated with Jamie Laird almost on a daily basis.
In looking at those messages between the two of them, I know you indicated a romantic relationship. Can you describe at all kind of the nature of their relationship?
It was based on the messaging. It was sexual. It was also very emotional. They would talk about a lot of different topics than just the obvious. It got to the point where May had talked to Jamie about very personal issues, and Jamie was also receptive and responded with his own personal issues. So it was also by looking at it, both of them were finding a safe haven to talk to each other that nobody else would see.
Was there any indication in your review of their communications that they were looking to, for example, run away together?
Not at all.
In fact, the last message that, what is the last message, date and time of any communication on this account?
So it's January 7th, 2021 at 2:03 p.m. And it was an outgoing message from May Millete to Jamie Laird, which said, "Everything okay?"
Was there
There
any
you go.
communication at all after 2:03 p.m. on January 7th, 2021?
No.
And this was after essentially daily communication dating back to September of 2021? I'm sorry, September of 2020.
Correct.
I want to know if there were any other relationships, because that's
The
what
week
Elaine will
of,
try to do.
again, January 4th, 5th, leading up to the 6th and 7th.
No, Liz, the
What was
detective
sort of the
questioned
nature of the
him.
conversation? Summarize it.
Well, January 5th, beginning at approximately 11:15 in the morning, things became very dramatic. And when I say dramatic, Jamie had sent messages to May, essentially asking if she had been lying to him this whole time. May responded with, what are you talking about, essentially? And Jamie had responded that Larry had contacted Jamie's wife and essentially told her information that then created this dramatic conversation. January 5th, it continued for several hours. Jamie was at one point concerned about May's safety because of the nature of the conversation and how it was going. And things just kind of kept going and then eventually dwindled down. So we had this climax point that came back down to where now they wanted to focus on their own lives due to the current events that were occurring. And things became normal again.
In talking to Jamie Laird, well, let me back up. So when you say things became normal again, what do you mean by that?
So May had let Jamie know that she had obtained paperwork from various law firms, and she'd also obtained a lawyer. She wanted to put that information on hold because it was Laura May's birthday that weekend. But her intention was to complete or go through the divorce proceedings. She wanted to move on, but she wanted to be there for the kids. And Jamie was also in the process of having a child of his own. And they were both at that point that let's focus on our own lives. But there was no mention of May leaving the environment that she was in. She was trying to get through the divorce proceedings herself and continue the life of their kids.
And then looking at, for example, Courts Exhibit 16-9 on
So
January 6th,
Jamie's wife was
2021.
pregnant.
It looks like the messages on this page at least begin at 5:51.
Yes.
And starting with kind of good morning, hope your night went okay. What, again, is kind of just a summary of essentially the communication between the two during these hours. And this kind of goes for a couple of hours in the morning from 5:51 in the morning to 7:19 in the morning.
Yeah, so Jamie had reached out to May at 5:51 and was just asking how May's night went. May responded a short time later and said it was quiet, that they avoided each other, as in they being Larry and May. She then reached out to Jamie and asking how his night went, and things were essentially the same, avoiding each other. But they were planning, May was at least planning to go to her boss that day, go to Derek, who she worked for, and let him know that Larry was threatening to file an IA, or an internal investigation, against her. And so she wanted to get ahead of that and let Derek know about the divorce and that the IA would be coming.
Looking at 16-10, those communications continue, kind of 7:20 in the morning. Again, there's a kind of a break where some messages are not included. After 8:02 in the morning, pick up again from 10:07 to 10:15 in the morning. Is there continued discussion about kind of what May is planning with regard to the next kind of phase of her life?
Yes, there's a brief discussion between the two, and it's more along the lines that she's just reaffirming that she wants to file the paperwork. She wants to get this divorce up and running, and she wants to really break things off with Jamie in order to do so.
And then looking at 16-11, this continues more conversation from 10:26 in the morning until 12:31 in the afternoon. Essentially, continued discussion between the two of them. Anything else? Is this a continued discussion sort of along all the same lines?
It is. However, May did reaffirm to Jamie that she did talk to Derek, her boss, and let him know about what was coming, or eventually coming soon, regarding the divorce and the IA. Jamie is sympathetic to her. He also reaffirms or asks her if she's okay. So he was really just checking on her, make sure she was doing okay.
Good one, Mary Rose. But
And then looking at 16-12, is our continued conversation on January 6th.
Actually, let's stop now.
well, that was abrupt. I guess they're taking their afternoon break, but they didn't really say anything. They didn't make any announcements. That's interesting. I guess they're taking their afternoon break. Okay, well, if you didn't see it, there's been a lot of, Mary's a wealth of information. Thank you, Rose. That's one. That's a good one too, Lester. Yeah, it could be a sidebar. I'm still watching the feed to see if they come back on. So if you've been following this case, there's been a lot of speculation about whether or not Maya was having an affair, and it has now been, it appears to be confirmed through an Instagram account that Maya had, a private one where she conversed regularly with a guy named Jamie. And this detective saw all the messages. He said that they were sexual. He said that they were very emotionally involved. He said that they talked about, she talked to him about her issues with Larry, and he talked to her about his issues with his wife. Apparently his wife is pregnant. And then Larry contacted May's boss at work to try to start an internal investigation about this affair. And then this guy, Jamie, reached out to May to, discuss all that, because apparently there was some lies said in that communication from Larry to work, or this guy's wife. And clearly a lot of drama leading up to January 7th when she went missing. But the thing is that, and I've been saying this all along. So, okay, we've confirmed that she had an affair, and maybe she had another affair with somebody else before. But as people have been acknowledging in chat, it's not unusual for people who are in these very difficult relationships, especially with somebody who's very controlling, to get at least into an emotional affair, if not a physical affair. And, not that it's morally okay, but it is something that happens quite regularly. And it doesn't mean that person deserves to be killed. And it doesn't mean that person is getting ready to run off and disappear. And the person that she was having the affair with has been questioned by detectives, and he's still around. He's not missing, but May is missing. And the last communication from May to this guy was, right around 2:30 or 3 on the day that she went missing. And then he reaches out to her and says, "Is everything okay?" and never hears back. So then all of a sudden she's missing, right? With all this lead up. So, from a trial perspective, from a reasonable doubt perspective, maybe that's a little chink in the armor of the prosecution. Like, that's something that that's a hurdle that they're going to have to get over in trial if this goes to trial. A lot of people, a lot of jury members, sometimes they can't overlook when somebody has an affair, and they do the victim blaming in their head, and they think, oh, well, she was having an affair, she must have run off. But hopefully they'll, be going by the law. I mean, everything else surrounding this, says that she disappeared off the face of the earth. And Larry's saving grace right now is that that nobody has been able to find her anywhere. So they don't have the evidence. Not saying morally one way or another, but mentally, spiritually, emotionally, I think some of these people are drowning and dying slowly. Yes, exactly. And it's natural to kind of seek out other people to talk to, other people to connect with, and then sometimes they become romantic. And it's becoming more and more and more normal lately. Not that, again, I think it's, up to every individual relationship. People who have been in long marriages have forgiven each other for getting into affairs, and for good reason. They married each other for a reason. So Yeah, and well, not only that communication confirmed she didn't live with him, but the detectives were able to question this guy Jamie after she disappeared. You know, and the only other thing they would have to do is figure out Jamie's alibi and make sure he wasn't anywhere near her when she allegedly when she went missing, right? Because as you know, we were talking about before, if there is somebody that she's having a relationship with, they're going to want to look at that person too, just to make sure that there was no last contact with him. So I would assume that when they questioned him, that they said, you know, after this communication, did she come to your house? Did you see her? Did she contact you? And presumably the answer is no, no, no. And the police can verify that with the digital data. So this case is walking a very fine line because there's for virtually no forensic evidence that I've seen come out at all. You know, there's no DNA, there's no blood, there's no body. There's just a lot of really damning behavior leading up to this disappearance. Wow. Wow. But I like how the prosecution was able to front load all of the, you know, all of the other testimony about, you know, about the affair, you know, to, or, you know, about all of the other evidence, about all of the other circumstantial evidence, and kind of, you know, pass off any questions about this alleged affair until this person gets on stand, and then puts it in the proper context. Benita is going to go on the sex trafficking tip now. She keeps bringing up this guy, May, said scared her on a hike, people allegedly seeing her in other states. Yeah, she'll probably take this guy through that wild goose chase, and you know she's going to grab onto this whole affair thing and ask all kinds of questions, and you know that some may be relevant, some will be totally irrelevant. And that's just, you know, we don't get to choose who the defense attorneys are when we're looking at trials on YouTube, do we? We don't get to choose. We get what we're given. So that must have been a really, really, really intense last few days. Yeah, probably. Larry's discussion with the other wife is what got him so angry, probably. I think Larry's parents are going to be the key. The fact that they had to leave the state and go be with his brother, etc. Timing wise, they're older, maybe not as tech savvy, hopefully slipped up. Yeah, I mean, they would have to testify that there was some, you know, the prosecution would have to get out of them that there was some other reason for leaving other than being with their children in Texas. I don't know. That would be some, you know, very strong premeditation if they were sent there for that reason. I don't know. This is going to be interesting, you guys. I mean, to me, I still think we put, okay, now that we've seen more of this trial, of this preliminary hearing, put a 1 in chat if you think it'll go to trial. Put a 2 in chat if you think it will not go to trial. I'm a 1. I do think it'll go to trial. But opposing opinions are welcome here. It's okay, as long as they're said respectfully. So 1 in chat if you think it'll go to trial, 2 if you don't, based on now what we've heard now. I did this poll before, like mid last week, and I don't think anybody voted on 2, but I may have not caught somebody. My back itches. Yep, getting ones, ones. I'm a 1 too. May stated that in that letter to Larry, she had been done for a very long time. And yeah, that letter was written in the previous August. You know, I was thinking about those letters after we heard them, and I don't remember whether they tried to go to counseling at all. But you know, I've been to marriage counseling, and I know. And one of the exercises that they have you do is to write a letter. Write a letter to your significant other. But the exercise we were doing was writing a letter. It wasn't, you know, I wouldn't have written the kind of letter that Maya wrote. It was like, I don't love you anymore and I want to leave you. I haven't been in this marriage for a long time. You know, that's what she said. And I can't imagine writing that in a therapy assigned letter. But Larry's seemed a little bit more like a therapy assigned letter because he was being very, you know, he was admitting that he had been so controlling. And, you know, now we can see it as manipulative. If it wasn't a therapy assigned letter, it was manipulative. Because he was basically, you know, admitting to her all the things that she had been accusing him of being controlling and overbearing and tracking her and possessive. Excuse me. Sounds like Larry went to pat himself on the back and tell everyone he was doing great as a husband. He went to talk openly, and she said she liked the counselor, right? Yeah. It's just you just don't know where those letters came out. Excuse me, had a little tickle in my throat. The feed is not back yet. Gosh, I wonder if that was a sidebar. I mean, that was just such a sudden. Make sure they don't have it on somewhere else. And they flipped like to a different camera or something. Is it? Nope. They're still not going. All righty. Yep. The most damning text was when Larry said, I might lose it or something. Yeah, that's what he said. I'm going to lose it. And, you know, everything that has been testified to in terms of Larry's patterns of behavior leading up to when she went missing and May's patterns of behavior up until she went missing, all of those have been corroborated, right? All of those, like the testimony is consistent from witness to witness to witness to witness that, you know, she was dedicated to work, that, you know, one day she was communicating with friends, the next day she was not communicating with friends. One day she's planning a ski trip, the next day she's not planning, you know, she's nowhere to be seen for that ski trip. Everybody who's testified consistently says the same things. And having an affair does change, I think, you know, can change that behavior a bit. It doesn't necessarily turn you all of a sudden into a drunken floozy. You know, you don't become a drunk overnight and all that stuff. I agree those letters seem like marriage therapy homework. I don't think May ever would have felt comfortable or compelled to write that Neanderthal. That's true. That's actually a really good point, Lester. That was one thing that struck me about that letter, is that she actually was super honest and open about exactly how she felt. And that was one of the reasons I thought it might have been an assignment. therapy homework, because she was being so forthright and honest and direct. And I mean, I guess you might think that after reading something like that, you might have a little bit of a wake up call. But there are just certain people with certain personality disorders, and I don't like labeling people. I don't like labeling people as narcissists or whatever, because I don't know. First of all, I'm not a therapist. Second of all, these personality disorders are really far too complicated, and so many of them could be mixed with each other. And to me, it just matters. The behavior is what matters the most. I mean, if what we're going to do is label people with, a personality disorder, the reason you do that is to say, oh, well, that's somebody that you might just want to avoid getting engaged with on a deep level. Well, maybe a more effective way of doing that is to just watch their pattern of behavior. Well, they regularly don't they regularly don't argue fair. They are not reasonable in conversation. When you try to, sometimes they give you the silent treatment. Sometimes they berate you. Sometimes they're you catch them in outright lies. Sometimes when you are trying to have a conversation with you, they just keep saying that you're crazy and you're misunderstanding things. Or sometimes they misstate things. You say, I know you did this, and they keep saying, no, I didn't do that. That's just the way you think, or you can't take a joke. That's, all forms of gaslighting, making it seem like your reality isn't reality. When you come across somebody who engages in those behaviors regularly, it's time to disengage, but sometimes you don't really start to see those patterns regularly until you're kind of deep into the relationship, or you've already fallen for them. And it's super hard we get love blind, we get all, our head gets all full with these pheromones. And so does that mean May didn't see Larry's confession of being such a jerk? Oh no, they would have, as far as my experience is concerned, in terms of therapy homework, they would have most likely read these letters to each other in front of the therapist. Imagine what Lori Val actually professional diagnosis is. I know. I couldn't imagine. I mean, she was declared incompetent for a while, but I don't think we know what the diagnosis was. Now she's declared competent. And, I feel like it's these people with these really, really sinister personality disorders that are and they get caught in a crime. They get caught doing something like Lori Vallow, and they're like, I'm not competent in it. And they delay it. Another person who does that regularly is Letitia Stout. I mean, that case initiated when, before I even really started covering true crime. They booked her, and she's been in jail stalling for her trial for years, using all these different methods of stalling. I mean, it's infuriating. I'm just going to look at the feed again and make sure that we're not missing anything. Are we missing anything? We can't miss any. Are they back? Nope. Yep. Still on the court still on the little logo. Schizoaffective disorder suddenly at 50. Is that Lori Vallow, Mary Rose? Is that what they said? Schizoaffective disorder? I don't know a lot about that one, schizoaffective disorder, but I think they're back.
These messages.
Well, just followed through on what she was telling Jamie the day before. she did lay out her intention of going through with the divorce proceedings and let him know about the IA. And basically, it's more of just casual conversation between Jamie and May throughout that time period. Jamie had reemphasized, just be careful. At the same time, they say goodnight to each other, and she wanted to keep a clear head for the following day.
And then 16-13, Courts Exhibit, is January 7th, 2021, a series of messages between 6:03 a.m. and then 2:03 p.m. And what was the topic of conversation in these messages?
Jamie reaches out to May at 6:03 a.m. and just asks how the night went and was hoping it was okay. May responds that it was okay. She had a conversation with Laura May about divorce, and that Laura May was receptive to it. Jamie again says, I'm still worried about you. May says, don't be, but thank you. And at around 9:10 in the morning, Jamie says that he has to log out and have a great day hanging there. And May basically replies, you too. And then at 2:03 p.m. was the final outgoing message from May to Larry asking if everything was okay.
I'm sorry, to Larry or to
I'm sorry, to Jamie. I apologize.
And again, when you spoke to Jamie Laird in person during your interview, was there any indication at all that he and May had met up, had any communication after this last communication from May at 2:03 p.m. on January 7th?
No.
And without telling us anything specific, does Jamie Laird still live locally?
Yes.
Were there some other postings on this Sailor Moon Instagram account that were of evidentiary interest to you?
Yes, there were several.
And can you describe what just the nature of some of those postings were that were significant?
What stood out to me was another series of events that led towards her current relationship with Larry. Discontent, accusations, fighting. There's pictures of kind of like selfies of May that did not reflect her main Instagram or Facebook account, and the fact that she didn't appear to be happy.
Looking at Courts Exhibit 16-2, do you recognize the documents on this exhibit to be from the Instagram search warrant return, the Sailor Moon Instagram account?
Yes, I do.
Okay. And can you tell us, essentially, before I post it, what are we going to be seeing in this exhibit?
What you'll be seeing is from July 15th of 2020, and is a screenshot of a text message conversation between May and Larry. And it's also a column or a topic of text where it says, I think Larry, my husband, is poisoning me.
And it's 16-2 up on the screen, the same exhibit that's in
Oh, wow.
the binder in front of you.
It is.
Okay. And there's some text that's highlighted in yellow. In your review of these Instagram messages, this would be text that would be written by the user.
That's correct.
And what's the date and time of this post?
So I'll provide you with the original timestamp and then convert it to a local time. So date created is July 15th, 2020. The UTC, or the Universal Time Coordinated Standard, is 11:20:22 p.m. So you would subtract 7 hours for that time frame because we're in Pacific Daylight Time. So it'd be approximately 4:20 p.m.
And then it looks like there's a screenshot then to the left And what does that screenshot appear to be?
It's a conversation between Larry, who is in text in black lettering or black content, and in blue is May.
And what was significant in terms of this screenshot of these messages?
May she's asking Larry why she's so drowsy. And apparently Larry had been giving her vitamins, as she describes it to be. She says she doesn't want them anymore. Larry responds with, I take the same ones and just take half the dose.
Vitamin.
It's supposed to be 2 gummies of each.
Looking at 16-3, again, is this another post of a photograph and with some text?
It is.
And up on the screen, 16-3, is that the same exhibit you have in front of you in the binder?
Yes, it is.
That
And
is
this another post
so
from July 15th, 2019.
Sad.
That's correct.
Do you recognize that photograph on the left as we look at the screen?
That is May Millete.
And you could read the text of that post.
I feel like everyone decided everything was fine now that I'm back at house. But I feel like everyone abandoned me and left me at the hands of the wolf that I've tried to escape from. When it's easy for him to put his hands on me, it's easy for him to control everything else. I told myself I'll never let him do that again. And here I am, finding myself stuck in the same situation with more chains that binds me to the same misery.
And again, these are posts that are part of her private Instagram.
That's correct.
In the photo. You talk about
I think he did talk about the photo, but the photo, was this also from, kind of explain to us where that photo is in relation to that text?
Yes, so that would be in relation to the text conversation. There would be an image with a file name associated to that screen that would replicate or show the image connected to it.
And that's the photo as we look at the exhibit on the left side of the screen.
Correct.
Now, looking at 16-4, 16-5, 16-6, and 16, all the way through 16-8, do you recognize that series of exhibits?
I do.
And what do you recognize those to be?
These are from May's Instagram account, the Sailor Moon Instagram account. And this is from a conversation that occurred on August 19th, 2020, where May has really shown a way of venting or including this information on her account by the source of At It Again, August 17th, 2020, and associated with a picture of a screenshot.
So we see the same, the post At It Again, 8/17/2020, along with a series of screenshots
Yes,
showing you 16-4 up on the screen. Does this appear to be an accurate representation of the exhibit in front of you in the binder?
yes, it is.
And again, these appear to be screenshots, or this appears to be a screenshot of messages between May and Larry.
Correct.
And this is from the second private, this is from the second Instagram account that you termed the private one.
That's correct, Your Honor.
So she was communicating with him on that private one at times?
No, she had taken a screenshot from her device and then was able to upload it into her Instagram account from taking it from a different device.
So in other words, do you recognize, looking at that screenshot, just on your training and experience, what that screenshot is capturing?
It's capturing iMessages. So it's in blue is typically an iMessage for those that have Apple or iOS devices versus Android. You would see an iMessage in blue. If it was SMS, it would be in green. So here you see an iMessage between two parties that are chatting.
And so, for example, this would be, how would the user go about, the user of this Instagram account go about creating the post that we're looking at?
So they would save it, or they would create a picture out of it, or as we call a screenshot, and then they can upload that screenshot into their account and then post that and show that it's trending, or at least show that it's being posted by the user in the Instagram account.
So in other words, take a screenshot from, for example, in this case, May's cell phone, take a screenshot of it, of a communication, and then upload it to this Instagram
That's correct.
with the sort of text title added again.
Yes.
And in these messages, then
I'm sorry
in
you had to
blue,
go through that,
what
Mary
is it
Rose.
that May is stating?
May states, if you want to love yourself, life hung up on my friendship with Jamie, then that's your problem.
You left out obviously a
I left out an expletive, yes.
Okay, and then in the text messages with who you believe to be Larry, what does he say kind of towards the bottom of that exchange?
Towards the bottom, he just tells her to stop and then says, no, I don't. I want to move forward living it with you.
And then 16-5 up on the screen, is that the same exhibit in front of you on the binary?
It is.
Okay, and these posts were done August 19th, 2020.
The posts were done, yes, August 19th, 2020.
And again, we see a screenshot on the left of the screen.
Correct.
And tell us about what this is.
This is a conversation between May and Larry. And it's also showing a screenshot captured from the device that was then uploaded to Instagram. And it is reflecting a conversation that is in the text format where it says added again, August 17th, 2020. She is posting basically the evidence of it, of what that would include.
And the substance of the conversation between them, what would you say the tone of that is?
She can't get away. She's claiming that the relationship is toxic, or the toxicity of it. Larry responds that everything I do annoys you right now, but then apologizes, and she's just telling him to stop.
He says, I'm constantly thinking of you. I can't help it.
Correct.
Looking at 16-6, would this be a screenshot in the same series then? There's a series of,
Yes. So with this, to sum this up, there's a number of screenshots that are all related to this post. So when I talk about post, I'm talking on the right side of the screen where it's reflective of added again, August 17th. And these are all the screenshots that she's attributed to this discussion, or at least this diary entry, if you call it that.
and again, fair and accurate representation of the documents obtained during the search warrant return from the Sailor Moon Instagram account.
That's correct.
And so if you could just read the messages in blue.
Sure. Stop it. Do your work and not other things. I told you already. For the record, nothing happened. We can just keep hating each other of that, if or of that's what you want. I don't want to talk to you.
And then looking at 16-7, again, continuing on with another screenshot. This appeared to be just a continuation of the same conversation.
Yes, it appears to be.
Now, we know that these screenshots were uploaded to the account on the dates that you noted. But do you know when the conversations actually occurred?
I do not, without having May's device to essentially do an analysis on to when that was done. I can just assume based on when she reflects the date of August 17th, 2020, and that the time that's actually posted is 2 days later, I would believe that that's when the argument occurred.
And that's your reasoning, but you're not sure.
I'm not sure.
best guess, which is fine.
Yes, sir.
Next question.
Thank you. And in 16-7, again, same concept, screenshots being posted. The top text from May in this post screenshot says, "Leave me alone, stop involving other people with our problems."
That's correct.
And then looking at 16-8, again, another screenshot with the same text added again, 8/17/2020. Where at the top, it looks like May says, "Live by yourself. Without me, I'm only here for the kids."
Correct.
Again, this is an accurate representation of these Facebook or these Instagram records from your search warrant return.
Yes, it is.
Was there any activity on this Instagram account by May Millete after January 7th, 2021?
No.
Did you also obtain a search warrant for Yahoo records?
I did.
Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes. During the course of the investigation and my conversations with the case agent assigned to this case from the Chula Vista Police Department, it identified a email address that had the domain of @yahoo.com. So with domains, we have at Gmail, at Yahoo, at AOL, at Microsoft. So that really gives you an idea of which email provider is retaining these records. So with that information, I wrote a search warrant to obtain further information to determine if there was activity from this account or who it belonged to in relation to May's disappearance.
So what did you actually request in your search warrant from Yahoo?
I requested all records, all email communications, any type of purchases, contacts, identifiers such as phone numbers, anybody else that would have access to the account. And that was the initial search warrant that was submitted.
And so do you submit it requesting records for a particular account name?
Yes.
And so in this case, what was your request?
So my request was to, I requested 4 identifiers, and it was 2 email addresses, one being an email address associated to May Millete. The second email address was associated to Larry Millete, and also 2 phone numbers.
And what did you find of evidentiary value with regard to that search warrant return?
So when I received the records, Yahoo was able to, they did their own search and was able to associate the identifiers. So the email addresses and the phone numbers I had sent to Yahoo in the form of a search warrant were able to connect additional email addresses based on the ones that I had requested. So I ended up doing an additional search warrant
Hi, Justice James.
just to obtain all the information that we could in relation to the disappearance.
And so where did you find some of the most significant pieces of evidence in this search warrant return?
On the first search warrant, May's account was identified as simple Ms. at yahoo.com.
Can you?
Yes, I sure can. It's SIMPLEMMIZ at yahoo.com. And with her email account, I could see that after the disappearance, there were sign-on or sign password changes that were performed on the account. There was activity that appeared to be suspicious. And on top of that, there was also suspicious activity reported by different vendors. And I'll go into those in a minute. But it basically showed that there was suspicious activity that was being generated post January 7th of 2021.
So when you get the search warrant return, for example, this is the email.com.
Correct.
So your search warrant return provides you with the records associated with that account.
Yes.
And so if you then are able to identify other email addresses, you can write a subsequent search warrant for those records.
Yes.
And so, tell us a little bit more about this suspicious activity on the Simple Ms. account.
So between the period of January 26th of 2021 up until April 1st of 2021, Facebook, PayPal, Amazon, and additional providers had reached out to the email address saying that somebody was trying to sign on or sign into the account. Also information that they tried to attempt to add their own phone number and email address to the account. Facebook had noticed changes to the account that were made, as in the password on the profile had been changed, and also contacts of friends of the main Facebook account associated to May Millete had also been modified.
How so?
It didn't go into description of how it was modified. It just said that trusted contacts had been modified, and that was in early February of 2021.
Was there any indication that of who it was that was doing this suspicious activity?
There was a phone number that is familiar in this case that was popping up repeatedly.
And what number was that?
That was the number for Millete.
Did you also,
And can you tell me how that was associated with it, so I understand how, when any of these changes were being made, why the telephone number was a part of that
Yeah.
request?
Yes, Your Honor. An email would be sent to the Yahoo account, and it would report the suspicious activity, or it would say, is this you who signed in? And it would give the phone number, which is associated to Mr. Millete, that would show up on the email saying, was this you that tried to sign into the account? And so there were emails, also the email address that was associated to Larry Millete, that was showing up. And this is between January 26th and April 1st. And so there were a number of successions of this sign-in activity or suspicious activity that these different companies were seeing, and they're reporting back to the originating email address.
When you sign in, do you sign in with how does your phone number become known when you sign in?
So if you're signing in using your cell phone versus a computer, you can either sign in using an email address or a telephone number. So if you have the Yahoo application on your phone, or you have different apps that have connected to the device, you would use that as more like a verification, or if you've listed that phone number on the account, that will be a way to sign into the account. Yes, sir.
and so those communications were going to the Simple Ms. Yahoo account?
That's correct.
And those were things that you were able to observe in your review of that search warrant return?
Yes.
At some point, did you also identify then an email account for May Millete that was mayamillete@yahoo.com?
I did.
And was that in the first or the second warrant?
That was in the second warrant.
Did you, in reviewing that search warrant return, observe some items that you found to be of evidentiary value in this case associated with that mayamillete@yahoo.com?
I did.
And kind of, you could briefly describe some of those things.
Yes, this account was treated as a journal entry or a diary where May had sent emails to herself. And the topic of the conversation was, again, really the issues that were going on in her life. So she was using it as more of as a journal entry.
Was she also communicating to some degree with people where you saw some emails, correspondence about divorce and workshops and things like that?
Yes.
Looking at Courts Exhibit 17, if you could flip to that, specifically 17-1, do you recognize what is in that exhibit?
I do.
Okay, and is that a fair and accurate representation of an email that you found on the Yahoo search warrant and I had a date here of May 27th, 2021? Was that the accurate date of that search warrant?
That's correct.
And tell us about what this exhibit is, and I'll go ahead and project it up on the screen, 17-1, and ask if that appears to be the same exhibit that's in the binder.
Yes, that's an accurate reflection, and is essentially it's a email from San Diego court system that is given May a reservation number or confirmation for a divorce workshop.
That was dated when?
September 2nd, 2020 at 8 a.m. local time.
Is that 17-1?
Yes.
May I approach?
Yes.
Okay. Gotcha.
What was the date actually of the email that was sent to Maya Millete?
Oh, the actual email was August 26, 2020.
Looking at 17-2, do you recognize what's in that exhibit?
Yes, I do.
And projecting that up on the screen, do you recognize what's up on the screen to be same exhibit that's in the binder?
Yes, I do.
And what is this exhibit, and what's the significance in terms of your investigation?
There's an email that was sent on August 31st, 2020 from the San Diego court system, and it was setting up a Zoom call for the conference during that time.
And looking at 17-3, can you tell us what this exhibit is before I put it up on the screen?
Yes, as I mentioned before, May had used this email account as more of a journal entry to write really diaries or about her events in life. This topic is noted as leave, and it's created on December 24th, 2020.
And who is it to?
It's to herself. It's from Maya Millete at yahoo.com, and it's to May Millete.
And what's the date and time?
Date and time is December 24th, 2020 at 3:11 a.m.
And can you read for us what the entry is?
Yes. He's never going to change. He will always control who you will or will not interact with. He will never get past what happened in 2020. Leave. It will be just as difficult as staying. You might as well change the course of your life now rather than regret not doing so 10 years from now. Don't be afraid of him not being part of your life. He will always be a part of your life as the father of your children. He's just not a good husband to be part of your life. Great dad, not so as a husband.
Are there other entries similar to this?
There were.
Wow. I think many women in
Looking
America,
at
many people in America
17-4,
can relate to that.
what is the significance of this particular exhibit? Again, 17-4 up on the screen, the same exhibit in front of you.
Yes, it is.
This was also an email sent to myroulette@yahoo.com,
That's correct.
and you found this during your examination of the search warrant return.
Yes.
Okay, and what was the significance of this email?
The topic was legal inquiry, and it was sent on January 4th, 2021. It's from Antonian Miranda, and it's a PDF email attached. And it's just showing that confirmation that May had reached out to the law firm requesting some information.
Looking at 17-5 and 17-6, do you recognize both of those exhibits?
I do.
And what do you recognize those to be?
These are showing appointments that have been set up with Broad and Law, and it's from Destiny Johnson, which was sent from Destiny Johnson to May Millete, at least her email account, on January 7th, 2021. And it just confirms that an appointment had been scheduled.
And looking at 17-5 up on the screen, dated January 7th, 2021 at 1:55 PM. That's the same exhibit in the binder.
Yes, it is.
And again, recovered during your examination of the search warrant return. With this was again that second search warrant that you obtained May 27th, 2021.
Yes.
And looking at 17, which that should be 17-6 up on the screen, mislabeled. January 7th, 2021 at 1:55 PM. This is also communication
Same here,
from Destiny
Betty.
Johnson from Rod-in-Law
Correct.
to the
All because of her
Yahoo
dang
account.
husband.
Yes.
What's mislabeled?
Oh, I have it labeled as 17-8 up on the screen. I believe it should be 17-6.
Is there a 17-8?
No.
Right, so talk about 17-6 for our
Yes.
records.
Yes.
Ellen will not be happy if we're not precise. We're 17-8. All right, so 17-6.
Yes. I think it was already testified to, that just to be clear, it was just mislabeled in my version up on the screen. It says, it should say 17-6. But again, this is correspondence from Destiny Johnson from Rod-in-Law
That's correct.
to the Yahoo account
Yes.
for my Millete. Was there any activity initiated by Millete that you're aware of on that account after January 7th, 2021?
No.
Did you also obtain, well, I think you had mentioned already that you did review the defendant's cell phone download that was obtained by Detective Vicente January 13th, 2021?
That's correct.
Did you examine that to
I'm sorry, can you repeat the date?
January 13th, 2021? Did you examine that download to determine if there were any text messages between the defendant, Larry Millete, and May Millete?
Yes, I did.
And what did you?
I'm not looking
determine?
forward to the cross-examination.
Determined that there were no text messages, either iMessage or SMS content around the time of the disappearance.
Specifically, do you know when they began? When any messages between the two of them began? On
The only messages I could find from the specific phone download were back in June of 2020, and it was a group text message.
and then did any start after January 7th, 2021?
Not from the first download, no.
So there were no text messages between June and, well, anytime after June 2020.
Between Larry and May, not on the phone, no.
And could you determine why?
It's a good question. I could just show that in comparing the T-Mobile SMS content
Okay, Laura.
to expect to find those same text messages in the phone, and they weren't. My belief is they were deleted.
In your review of that cell phone download, did you notice also a large number of emails to or from larry.millete@gmail.com?
I did.
And was there something of significance in your review with regard to that Gmail account?
Yes.
What was that?
Larry had conversations, emails, an abundance of emails with recipients that we later determined to be spellcasters. This was generated around October. That continued until late December and into early January. That information, and it was not just one spellcaster, it was several. We found a lot of messages from emails that were reflective of reaching out to buy spells, reaching out for, really appeared to me, desperation or showing signs of concern. There was a number of those emails that were on the phone, and with that information, I wanted to obtain a search warrant from Larry Millete's Google account to really show consistency, to see if there were any additional that were not on the phone or on the email account, or at least the search warrant, and vice versa.
So what did you do?
I wrote a search warrant to obtain the account information for the Millete family, not just Larry Millete, but also May Millete and the 2 children, just to determine really the activity on the account that covered this investigation, as well as what transpired beforehand, to really get an idea of how to build an analysis on the patterns of life.
And so tell us a little bit about what, is this sort of similar to the Yahoo search warrant where you obtain the search warrant based on email addresses?
Yes, you can obtain it on email address. You can obtain it on a cell phone number. You can also obtain it on a cell phone's international mobile equipment identity, which is basically the serial number to a cell phone, which is unique. Based on my training experience, is that the email address is the best identifier to obtain the account records from Google.
And do you recall what date you obtained this search warrant?
It was in late April of 2021.
And do you have your reports in front of you that document these various search warrants and investigation that you participated in?
Yes, I do.
And so, looking at is, well, in looking at that search warrant return, then was there certain activity under a email account or a Gmail account, Corpsman619?
There was an account that was associated to Larry Millete. Yes, that was under that email address. There was not too much activity, but it did exist. But however, it was deleted in late January.
And showing you 18-1, could you
Sure.
turn the exhibits to course exhibit 18-1? And am I correct that you, did you obtain more than one Google warrant?
For account information,
Yes.
it was just the one search warrant. The Chula Vista Police Department, they obtained the initial Google warrant. After my review of the initial Google warrant, my choice or selection to obtain an additional search warrant was based on the information I obtained or saw in Larry Millete's phone download, as well as expanding the time frame of the Google account for the second search warrant.
And in doing that, did what time frame did you obtain those records for? And if you need to refresh your memory by looking at your
Sure. So it went back from January 1st of 2020 up until early June of 2021.
And when was that search warrant actually granted to you?
I'm just going to refer to my report.
So the confirmation of the affair
June 1st, 2021.
does give a very solid motive
Looking
for
at
Larry.
18-1 up on the screen, is this essentially what the records look like when you obtain them or when you receive them from Google?
Not all of them. This is just for the subscriber information. So it's in a text or a notepad format, and it just identifies the Google account ID number, the name, the given name, or at least when the account was created, what the user labeled the account as or identified the account as. And it gives you kind of a slide-by-slide understanding of when it was created, what programs are listed on the account, what services, if it was deleted or not, and any other user activity.
And so this would be that subscriber information for Larry Millete, the corpsman619@gmail.com account.
That's correct.
And then this Google search warrant return would provide you records associated with that Gmail account. Is that accurate?
That's correct, yes.
Looking at 18-2, do you recognize what we see up on the screen to be the same exhibit that's in the binder?
Yes.
And what is that?
That is a Google subscriber document from Google showing the email association to Larry Millete being larry.millete@gmail.com.
And then there's sort of some other, it looks like identifiers that would allow you to kind of cross-reference to see if you've obtained the records from the correct person.
That's correct.
And what were you able to determine about this account in particular?
Well, there was several items that were provided by Google as showing activity on the account, search terms, keyword searches, web pages visited, last login information, email accounts, tombstone data, which is deleted information on the account, and additional identifiers that would show relationship of the account to Larry Millete.
So now this is different from, for example, 18-1. This was the subscriber information for another Gmail account you had sought records for, and it's Corpsman 619, but I think you had said that was deleted January 17th, 2021.
That's correct. So just like Yahoo does, is they can search the identifier that's in the search warrant and then connect the associated email addresses to that identifier. So that's what is they provided upon receipt.
So if this was deleted January 17th, 2021, are you able to obtain the records for that associated with that Gmail account?
No.
So you were able to obtain records associated with this account in Courts Exhibit 18-2, larry.millete@gmail.com?
Correct.
You're saying once the account was deleted, the information was lost for the Corpsman?
If it's not preserved, yes.
Looking at 18-3, what do we see in that exhibit?
These are calendar entries that were manually created or inputted by the user.
And projected up on the screen, is this the same exhibit?
Yes, it is.
Okay, and tell us what calendar entries, what does that mean?
So calendar entries, if you have a Google account, you can create time slots or appointments using the calendar function of your Google account. And it can list, you have information where you can put in the description of what the information is about. You can give places, and it creates a timestamp on when the information was created.
Okay. And so is what we see up on the screen, 18-3, is this how the search warrant return essentially looks when you obtain the records from Google?
Not necessarily. This is from when it's placed into a forensic tool and extracted from the search warrant to give it a more of a readable or understanding of, so that we can read it.
And so when it's put into this forensic reader, we're able to actually read what some of the entries are.
That's correct.
And what were some of the entries, the calendar entries for larry.millete@gmail.com?
So starting on June 14th, 2020, the subject is that Maya Walmart again did not pre-order with 3 question marks. MSU's always pre-orders.
And then there's another entry below that, June 14th, 2020. What's the subject of that one?
Maya Unreachable, lunch with Jasmine with a question mark.
And then there's another one underneath that. What is the subject of that calendar entry?
Maya not in her office, came back not wearing her ring, don't want to confuse people, is Gloria, takes it off at work. Just took it off today, so I don't nag. What's really going on? Something last time coming from Brugger's when I come by unexpectedly.
And then there's a location.
So he's lost.
Naval Base of San Diego.
And that's also on June 14th. And then there's another one below that, June 14th. It looks to be another kind of duplicate.
Correct.
Now, looking at Courts Exhibit 18-4, can you tell us
Intense
what
surveillance.
this is?
So As I described before, we don't always have the calendar entries in a readable format. So with the information I just testified to, this is showing the same format essentially, but I've gone and placed it in more of a readable way. So what you're seeing is a chart that I created showing the reflection of the calendar entries.
So essentially the same information that you are able to see in the search warrant return, you put it into a document that is kind of, you're able to read it in a linear fashion.
Correct.
Okay. And so in this exhibit up on the screen, 18-4, which is the same exhibit in the binder,
Yes.
there's a calendar entry 5/11/2020 that says Maya moved out. And so that's an accurate reflection of a calendar entry in that Gmail account, larry.millete@gmail.com.
Correct.
And then I think we see the similar ones that we've just reviewed. Looking at 18-5, do we also, in the Google records, are you able to see a search history for larrymillete@gmail.com?
Yes, it's found within the My Activity section of the account records.
And what was significant about the search history that you observed?
Very odd, unique searches that I believed were relevant to the investigation.
Looking at 18-5 up on the screen, is that the same exhibit that you see in front of you?
Yes.
Okay. And what were some of the searches that you saw?
Before I get into the searching, I just want to identify the significance between when something is viewed and when something is searched or visited, I should say, is that viewed or searched is a keyword search. So the user is actually putting in the words, and visited is when they actually clicked on the web page and visited that site, just so we understand. So within this exhibit, the first one at the top of the screen is in UTC format, just like I previously testified to. So it's, for this time of period, it's 8 hours ahead, but it's a Google search. Same day, a few minutes before, is that the user has visited. After listening to subliminal messages, I started getting a headache. Is this a bad sign, or is the subliminal working?
So just to be clear, that's November 30th, 2020, 10:27 p.m. UTC time. So you would subtract.
You subtract 8 hours of that time, so roughly 2 o'clock, 2:27 in the afternoon.
And then similar search down below that.
Yes. So the origination is actually going to be the bottom search going up to the top. So the initial search, so the keyword search for this was, does subliminal messages give you headaches? The middle column is showing the website that was visited. And that's how that would, as far as chronological order.
Did you, similar to what you did with calendar entries, did you take the Google search history and put it into a format that was a bit more linear, kind of where you're able to read by date and time in successive fashion the search history?
Yes.
And looking at 18-6, do you recognize this to be a chart or exhibit that you created when you wrote your report?
Correct.
And tell us what this exhibit shows.
This is from, again, the My Activity section of the account. And within that My Activity is the search history.
And so moving through 18-6, all the way through 18-10, we see the date at the top of the exhibits. And then is this essentially giving us chronologically from November 30th?
I don't think they've shown him at all,
2020
Lester. That's
through
at the very beginning.
December 27th, 2020, the Google search history for larrymillete@gmail.com.
That's correct.
And do they all fairly and accurately reflect the search history that you observed in the search warrant return that you obtained?
Yes.
So showing you first what's been labeled November 30th through December 1st, 2020. Are these again, some of the search items.
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about what was significant to you in this exhibit, 18-6?
So this shows November 30th through December 1st. And during that time, the only searches that I do see that were both searched and visited was to do with subliminal boosters, subliminal messages, subconscious blocks, and headaches.
Moving on to 18-7, December 1st through the 4th, 2020. Are these also searches that were found on larrymillete@gmail.com
Yes.
or in the account?
Yeah,
associated
pretty
with
much,
that Gmail
Lester.
account? And what was significant to you with regard to the searches during this time period?
So in accordance with Larry Millette's phone download and the Google records, I found that the term FIVA was used a lot. That's FIVERR. And that is a online marketplace for businesses to communicate or really recruit prospective clients, business sales, things like that. That was searched many times. Also, with the subliminal training, for instance, on December 2nd at 11:19 a.m. local time, can subliminal learning help my child? What are the symptoms of a nervous breakdown? Can you pair 4 Bose SoundLink to speakers and subliminal wife training?
What was significant to you about the speakers?
So based on my conversations and my knowledge of the
Something there about a
investigation
child.
is that Bose speakers were inside the master bedroom as well as other areas of the house that we had learned that were placed there by Larry Millete.
For what purpose?
To send messages through the subliminal topic is essentially what I was, the information I received.
And looking down a little bit further, there's a couple of other highlighted searches. Again, those are searches associated with this Gmail account.
That's correct.
Looking on to December 4th through the 10th, these also appear to be similar kind of subject matter, but again, searches associated with larrymillete@gmail.com account.
Yes.
And you're referring now to 18-8.
18-8, thank you, Your Honor. Looking at 18-9, December 10th through the 16th, 2020. What was significant to you about the search history that's reflected in this exhibit?
A lot of searches that were done that I found on December 16th was my wife doesn't want me to touch her. It kind of just showed consistency with the previous searches of trying to find ways to, I guess, connect the relationship again, is my understanding. But moving down to around 12:56 p.m., there were searches that were done, keyword searches, and also pages that were visited of how much diphenhydramine can I take, common over-the-counter meds to incapacitate adults, Rohypnol, OTC, Rohypnol effects, hazards, and methods of abuse of drugs.com, and flunitrazepam.
And have you conducted any open source research to determine what those medications are used for?
I have.
What is that?
They're all sedatives. Rohypnol is really the generic name for roofie. Flunitrazepam is the generic term for Rohypnol, and it's all for sedatives. Make you drowsy. Diphenhydramine is for Benadryl, the key term, but it is all associated to sedating someone or making somebody sleepy.
Looking at 18-10, these are searches from December 16th through December 27th, 2020. Again, are these continue to be searched the search history associated with larrymillete@gmail.com,
That's correct.
and what was significant to you in terms of this exhibit?
Well, again, just continued searches of the medications, as the flunitrazepam, the Rohypnol, into the FIVA marketplace, the California Astrology Association, and the subliminal messages, and also the testimonies from the California Astrology Association. I found those to be interesting, to say the least, unique in the terms of how often they were searched, was something that stood out to me.
And if you could explain again the difference between searched and visited.
So searched is actually typing the keywords into the browser or into whether it's a device or a computer, putting those terms in and hitting enter, versus visited, meaning going to the actual website that was the result of that keyword search.
So for example, December 16, 2020 at 1:06 p.m., the user would have typed in the word Rohypnol and searched it, specifically that word.
Correct.
And a page of several links would pop up.
Yes,
And then if you actually click on one of the links, then that's visiting.
that's correct.
Did you also obtain Google account information and records associated with the Gmail account mayamillete@gmail.com?
I did.
And showing you what's been marked as 18-11, does this appear to be the Google subscriber information page for the account associated with mayamillete@gmail.com?
Yes, it is.
And these also had identifying information that allowed you to connect it to May Millete.
Correct.
Did you also observe some Google search history for May Millete during the same time frame?
I did.
Showing you 18-12,
And that time frame again being
18-12 has a time frame of December 25th, 2020 through January 7th, 2021.
Correct.
Correct. Okay. And so the exhibit in front of you in the binder, 18-12, is the same exhibit up on the screen.
Yes, it is.
And does this document, this exhibit reflect the Google search history for May Millete, or the account associated with mayamillete@gmail.com during this time period?
Yes.
And what was significant to you about the search history reflected here?
It was shown to me that May was seeking a way to move on with her life, in the terms of seeking for how much would it cost for mortgage, or how much mortgage can I afford. On Christmas Day, she was Googling or searching for the child support, how much child support I have to pay, or just estimations. Then,
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. And then moving forward to January 6th is when we start seeing the inquiries to the different law firms.
And what is the last search in this Gmail account?
So that'll be on January 7th, 2021 at 8:12 p.m. And the keyword search is a TTR 125.
And that would have been January 7th, 2021.
Correct.
Do you know what TTR 125 is?
It's a model of a Yamaha dirt bike.
Was there any activity on this account for May Millete after this search, January 7th, 2021 at 8:12 p.m.?
No.
Wow, 8:12 p.m.
In addition to the Yahoo search warrant return, the Google search warrant return, did you also write and request records from Apple?
Yes, I did.
And can you tell us about that?
So on April 26th of 2021, I requested records from Apple to obtain account information for emails or phone numbers that we had identified belonging to Larry Millete and May Millete.
And what did you find in terms of your review of that search warrant return?
So it's essentially the iCloud information that gets stored on a device, or at least is sent up into the cloud. So this can include videos, pictures, and depending on the account settings, you may get iMessage content, locations, and applications that have been bought or at least purchased or updated during the time that I requested the records for.
And did you request records associated with Millete?
I did.
Tell us about that.
So the records I requested was for the Milete's cell phone number and also the email address that we knew of that had been portrayed in the investigation. So they were sent to Apple. Apple, in accordance with what Google does and what Yahoo does, finds any connecting accounts to that initial identifier. And so on receipt of those records, we found 2 additional email addresses, or one that we already knew of, but an additional one that we had not obtained records for yet.
And what was that?
It was may.millete@navy.mil. And the second one was myemiliete@yahoo.com.
And looking at, well, when you got this search warrant return, did you document again your findings in a report?
I did.
And did you document what files you reviewed and the account identifiers?
Yes, I did.
Showing you what's been marked as Courts Exhibit 19-1. Is this an exhibit that you created to document the files that you referenced and the emails associated with the accounts for this Apple warrant return?
Correct, yes.
And then looking at 19-2, do you recognize 19-2 up on the screen to be the same exhibit in the binder?
I do.
And what are we looking at here?
So this is one of the items of evidence that Apple provides upon receipt of the search warrant. And this is an HTML file, what that correlates as being a internet web page. So we would go to the link that Apple provided us in order to download that material that is really contained within this file. So that's how we get to it.
And so for when you conducted this analysis, how did you go about creating or extracting the information that you found to be relevant when you examined this warrant return?
Unfortunately, I went through this manually, file by file, over a course of 2 days in order to find information that was relevant to this investigation.
And what did you do when you found certain items that you found significant?
I flagged them as potential evidence and notified the Chula Vista Police Department.
And did you also indicate, did you essentially create a PowerPoint?
I did. I created it really from my own understanding, as I was the one that located this information, and also as part of this investigation so that we could view images rather than links to the images.
And looking at 19-3, is this one of the, essentially one of the pieces of evidence that you found when you examined the Apple search warrant return?
Yes, it is.
And what is this?
This is an HEIC file, which means that is kind of like an image or a JPG or JPEG format, where this is a screenshot that was saved on May Millete's iCloud account. So this is an image that was stored on her iCloud backup.
What did you find as you examined some of the files or photos that were saved on the iCloud account associated with Millete?
I found that May spent a lot of her life documenting the events, documenting the activities that she participated in. She was always taking pictures of her kids. She was taking pictures or videos of the things that she loved to do, and that was heavily documented in this return.
Looking at 19-3, which is up on the screen, is this one of the screenshots that you located?
I did, yes.
All right, and up on the screen, that's the same document in in the binder,
Yes, it is.
19-3. So I think you've already said there's an identifier, it looks like a number, which you've labeled up in the left-hand side, IMG _0290.HEIC. Is that correct?
Correct. That is the original file name from Apple.
From the Apple return?
Yes,
And it has a date and time associated with it?
it does.
And for each of the slides that are in this exhibit, where it has this white bar at the top, the identifying number in the top left and the date and time, did you essentially label each of these exhibits based on what you found in the warrant return?
Yes, if there was any, what they identify as EXIF data, EXIF, is if there's any creation date or modification date, it will be listed in the actual file itself. And so if it's there, I displayed it as a reflective of what it says really. It was June 3rd, 2020 at 12:16 p.m.
And then underneath that, there's looks like a black box and it says file path and source. Is that something that you created as well?
I created the box and with that information contained in it, but that is just, again, showing the original. If someone who did not know this case could find it, that would be the way to go about finding that particular image.
And so this was a screenshot. What was significant to you about this screenshot?
It's a conversation between LH and M. But based on the nature of the investigation, it appears that it's between Larry and May.
And it looks like the question in blue, did you do that in my IG with Courtney? Question mark, exclamation point. And then the response is from someone labeled Larry Hubby.
Correct.
And then no one else would delete my messages but you. Was this a screenshot that you documented in your search warrant return?
Yes.
Looking at 19-4, was this another?
Let's set
Okay.
time before we move on. All right, we're going to recess for the evening. So the order back tomorrow morning at 9 a.m.
Okay, Your Honor. Thank you.
Leave. Is there anything else we need to address before we recess? How many more witnesses?
I have 2 more after.
There's Larry.
I just about finished with him, with his direct.
He looks a little peaked,
About 15 minutes in the morning.
don't you think?
And then I have Peter Gilliver, and then I just.
Okay, how long do you think both of them will testify?
Say
He's a little white.
an hour each on direct. Probably investigator Rhodes a bit longer.
I think we'll finish tomorrow.
Probably depends on the cross-examination of Mr. Greenlee.
At this point, I'm saying at best 50-50 chance we'll finish tomorrow.
I think that's probably fair.
Fine.
Probably.
Department 1101 can wait. Sorry, Judge Smith. All right, we are in recess. The defendant's ordered back tomorrow, 9 a.m. All prior orders not in conflict remain in full force.
Did you guys see that last screenshot that popped up before the judge called recess? It said something like sex libido enhancer for husband, and it was unclear whether that was something May did or, but in that last set of screenshots, basically May was accusing Larry of deleting her messages between her and her friend in Instagram. Imagine having such a insecure, controlling, domineering husband that he needs to control you in your sleep, you know, get to you in your sleep, drug you. I mean, they haven't shown any actual proof that she was drugged or proof of that, but I think it's well established by now that he was doing all the subliminal message stuff because they had a fight about it. She found the phone under her bed. The many spells, and you know, he contacted many spellcasters. I mean, to me, it's not looking good for him. And also this affair, even though the defense attorney wants to kind of put it up there as, wow, she's having this affair. Clearly she's not interested in her family. She must have just run off. Well, it actually shows a motive. It shows a motive for Larry. He obviously wanted complete control over her. And so, it's not a far stretch to believe that after he finds out she's having an affair, he's going to do something violent, and that's a motive. And he had the motive, the means, and the opportunity. And he did. He looks a little, when they finally put the camera on him, he looked a little peaked. Lester, it's pretty wild. She said, I think Larry's poisoning me, and then said she was drowsy to him, revitamins, then searching. Yeah, exactly. That was shocking. He was searching the roofies. He was searching roofies. I mean, I wonder, yeah, that is a motive. That affair, and that person also exists. That person exists to testify, to testify that she was, alive and well and talking to him and having a full-on conversation. These accusations come out. Larry contacts this person's wife, gets them all riled up. They all get in a fight, and boom, she's gone. All of a sudden, she's gone. And, man. Yeah, but who knows if she would have gotten out of the house. Yeah. Anyway, so I guess they're going to be returning on Monday morning, or sorry, today's Monday morning. Tomorrow morning, 9:00, we'll be here. So we have to get through the cross-examination of Detective Grimley, and they're not even finished with him on direct. And then she said that there's at least one or two more witnesses after this one. So, and, I feel as though, I feel like this has been a very well laid out case by the prosecution. It's been a buildup and a buildup and a buildup to stronger and stronger and stronger evidence. So it'll be interesting to see what the last witness has to say. Yeah, I knew they wouldn't finish today either, Violet. Yeah. And, it reminds me again of the Suzanne Morphew case. It also came out that she was having an affair, and that person definitely does exist, but she doesn't exist anymore. Anyway, so I'm going to let you all go. I hope you all have a fantastic rest of your day, whatever time it is for you. And I will see you here at 9 a.m. Pacific time tomorrow. Thank you very much for joining. Joining today. Consider becoming a member. Hit the thumbs up. Share it if you like. And either way, I really just appreciate the intelligent, respectful conversation. See you later.